You are now listening to the Warp World Podcast. Boom shakalaka.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 174 of the Warp World Podcast. Your premier. Welcome to episode 169 plus 5 of the Warp World Podcast, your premier podcast for gaming news, discussion, hot takes, and everything in between. I'm xWater, joined this week by my co-host each and every week, Jaku.
Hello.
And our special guest host this week, authorblues.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, with a lowercase a lowercase u, a lowercase t. I'm not sure on the H. I'm still kind of figuring that one out, but I know it's in a lowercase o following that, a lowercase r, a lowercase b, and then an o, a lowercase l, a lowercase
My brand
U.
manager reached out to me earlier today and said I need to be more diligent about enforcing my brand identity, so...
I like to spell it with a 5 for the S at the end.
I do it because I am a gamer.
We're still working on it.
That just feels so wrong.
How you feeling tonight? What's going on?
With me?
Yeah, just generally, just what's good? How you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing great. I get to sit here and talk about video games for a little while, and people are forced contractually to listen to me. So,
yeah. Well, I at least I am for sure. Jaku, he goes in and out.
Yeah. I zone in and out, like, just in general. So contract is contract, like, doesn't matter to me. Get your lawyers. I'll take them on.
I love that we're getting hashtag justice for Grand Pooh Bear in the chat today. It's making me chuckle. That'll be addressed during the show. We're gonna save that beefy piece of news for later on, but we'll
talk about that elephant.
We'll circle back to that elephant. Yeah.
But yeah, we should probably talk about some of the big news that happened over the weekend and some of the stuff that we were part of, actually.
Yeah. Let's obviously you're talking about Glitchcon, right?
Oh yeah, Glitchcon.
Unless you guys did something I wasn't invited to or something.
Well, we did go to that party, but we're not supposed to talk about that because
I tuned
COVID.
in for a few of those Glitchcon streams, and I got to see some friends' faces, so that was pretty exciting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was jumping around too, I was like, I poked into the other one. I'm like, hey, look, it's Kung Fu and Pooh. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then I was there for a bit. And I was with Jaku and Ross and a bunch of other people the whole time. Wavy was on for a while. It was awesome to see how much of our crew was in it.
Yeah, I tweeted about it the day of, I think, or at least the day prior, and it's really interesting to see where we all were 5 years ago and where we are now. 5 years ago, Grand Pooh Bear wasn't banned. Now he is.
No, that's cold-blooded.
That is. No, but no, I was really proud of all of us. I feel like all of us have made such a great growth on Twitch, and Dragon Feeney and all these people that are part of this community that we all started with Mario Maker, really, a lot of us, and it's really interesting to see where everyone's going. And what they're doing now. And it's diverged because I was streaming 5 years ago, as somebody calls me out in chat, and I'm not really streaming anymore. I do the occasional IRL stream, which is really my thing now, but I'm working behind the scenes, and I'm working on so many things behind the scenes. But this year at Glitchcon, people got to see that. But it was so fun to see what people have been up to and see their growth and really be able to see it. Because it's been over the last 5 years. We've seen everyone kind of go off and advance in certain areas and whatnot. And it was really exciting. So Glitchcon was a really fun thing to see for me. And like you said, you poked around and you saw some familiar faces, and it's only going to be more and more familiar faces that you interacted with in the past, because these people continue to succeed and do awesome things, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's actually really impressive because, there's a lot of big names on Twitch as a platform. And so the fact that Warp World has become such a... you had a pretty big market share of Glitchcon. I don't know how to express that differently, but somehow you managed to get a big piece of the pie there. And I think that's pretty impressive. It's like an awkward high school reunion, because you kind of look back and it's what have you been up to? What have you been up to? But everyone's now super famous. It's can't really hold it over anyone's head.
That's probably like really hard for like certain like schools in LA area where like they probably have a higher chance of like becoming actors and actresses, and like them having a reunion. It's like 90% of them are like now actors, and then like there's only like 10% that like, oh, I'm an accountant. It's like, oh, but like, did you go to? Speaking of reunions, real quick, did you go to yours?
God no.
No.
I'm not even sure how they work. Like, do you get like how do
your class president is supposed to have kept in contact with enough people, and there's a Facebook group now, and they're like, hey, we're doing it now. It's on. We had a 5-year, and I'm like, no, forget that. I went to the 10-year.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I went to the 10-year because I'm like, I'm in town. Like, this is working out, and it was a disaster as expected. It's definitely like a dick measuring contest.
Yeah, to see like, oh, look, you remember that time you called me stupid in art class? Well, guess what, stupid bitch, I make more money than you.
Yeah.
Now, I can't imagine there being any good reason to go to one, right? Like, if you've been unsuccessful, well, that's not going to feel good. And if you've been successful, like,
you're just going there to gloat. Yeah. And like, so what exactly?
I would go to one. I feel like I'd have a fun time. But I like partying.
I once went to a friend's high school reunion as somebody that we knew wasn't going.
Oh.
And so like
that's the most extremely Jaku thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
You sure? What about face masks gone wild? I thought that was pretty high up there too.
Okay. All right. Well,
hey, that's for the Patreon banters, okay?
Sorry.
This one is more on brand for Jaku to me.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But yeah, I definitely recommend you crash a high school reunion. That's actually really fun.
Was it like how I imagine? Did it kind of unfold like Wedding Crashers did? Was it the same kind of vibe there?
No, not exactly. Like, so my friend, he went for his, and he's like, oh, hey, my friend John, who like moved to Hawaii like 8 years ago, isn't going. You want to be him? I'm like, yeah, I'll be him. And so like I pretended to be him because I guess I looked enough like him or whatever. And people were like, oh man, John, remember so-and-so's class? I'm like, oh yeah, that was so crazy.
You basically were doing improv comedy all night long.
Yeah, it was
man,
great.
You got to roll with everything. You have to just yes and every single thing someone says to you.
And it was like, oh, what was that one substitute we had that would always like, and then they would start filling in the blanks for you. It was so good. Yeah,
sounds like me every single time that we had a class discussion on a book we were supposed to read in English. You pick up just enough of the key pieces that you can just say, well, it's a very nuanced take.
Yeah, you read like chapter 6 and chapter 6 alone. You're like, well, I don't know about all that, but I feel like the characters' motivations were really questioned in chapter 6, and I think that's where we need to be focusing our discussion on.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But Glitchcon. I've definitely done something similar to that before where I pretended to be various people in various other situations, but never for more than like 10 minutes.
Yeah, this was like 4+ hours.
Dude, I was stuck doing like my cell phone provider was dicking me around. I was like going through customer service, and Steve and I, my brother, are on the same cell phone plan. Like we're on like a family thing. So the account's under his name, and I'm supposed to be on there as like, someone who can manage the account as well, but I wasn't. So the day I called, I was like talking to the lady. I was trying to get some like some credit for this charge they gave me. It was so bullshit, dude. They charged me like a $50 hardware upgrade fee because I bought a phone from them. And I'm like, wait, what does this fee mean? I was so upset. I was so mad. So I'm calling to try and get it reversed. And they're like, we can only talk to Steve. And I'm like, can I just grab him and give him to you? And they're like, yeah, that works. And I just put the phone away from my face. And I go, Steve, I need you to talk to the wind people. They won't talk to me. And I just put the phone back into my face. 10 seconds later, I'm like, hello? And I got through the next like 40 minutes of like customer service arguing with that voice.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was real fun. But anyway, we were just about to...
How are they going to know it's not you?
Exactly.
How are they going to know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I wasn't asking for much. I'm like, yo, I've been on this cell phone plan for like 7 years. Just cut me some fucking slack. I just wanted to buy a phone from you. Next time I'll just buy it from Google if you're going to do this shit.
I would have been really tempted to be like, hold on, I got to ask my brother that question, and then like play that part back and forth a few times while on that phone call.
Yeah. Eventually I got transferred to another agent. I was just like, all right, cool. I can drop the act.
Yeah. But yeah, Glitchcon. So like, I did a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Warp World was a big part of it. But xWater, you were a star of a show.
I got to be front and center of the Let's Make a Game, which is one of Warp World's shows. And big shout outs for pushing to get your man in there, because it was very nice to be featured in Glitchcon as a host. I got to interview. Absolutely. I got to interview a couple of developers. I got to talk to the head, or one of the heads of the studio that made a game called Moss. It's this cool VR game where the concept is actually really interesting, where they made this like platform puzzle adventure where you're a mouse, but you're also the human that watches the mouse. And so like the mouse is like trying to clear this jump. So you got to pull this rock out so he can like get further and then clear the jump. So like they make the adventure like you platform as a mouse, but you have to, kind of help him out as a human. So you kind of play two characters. And I thought that was really creative. So it was fun chatting with them. And I got to chat with Darren Korb, who is the voice of Zagreus in Hades.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, and I got to talk to him a little bit about Hades and basically fanboy to him, because I had just started playing it at that point, and I've been addicted ever since. And then we had one other dude, I can't remember his name. I think it was Lars Backen, who it was from Bungie, but didn't want us to ask him anything about Bungie. And I was like, well, this interview is not going to be as fun. It's like the staff Marathon. Was like, I cannot stress this enough. Do not ask him about Bungie. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess so. Fine.
But you should have asked him if he's ever bungee jumped.
Tell me all about your time at Bungie.
Yeah, it was fine though. We had like 6 to 8 minutes for each interview, so it's not like we had a whole lot of time to really get into anything. But the segment itself was really cool. The whole like the chat building the game out kind of thing, and how that all played out. It's definitely was like some of the coolest implementation of crowd control that we've had yet.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. We still got some work to do before the release, which will be announced on the Twitch weekly coming up in December. But that was a lot of fun. And like when being in those voice channels with some of those developers and people that you were talking with, I knew you were a big fan of the Hades guy, and I was like, this is gonna be really fun for him and exciting. But yeah, that was amazing to see. That event went very well, I feel like, overall. With anything, there's always gonna be some minor problems here and there, but like the streamers we had on were great and open to the complications. But they all had fun. Like, I think that was the big thing is we were worried about. Like, here's a game that we built and we couldn't show it off. We couldn't really test it other than with our small crew to really kind of, make sure it was ready. And we're like, well, this is kind of fun for us. Is it going to be fun for other people? And they seem to enjoy it. It's like people played for like 40 something minutes on it.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it was just a twin stick shooter. Like, that we're like, we need to come up with a fun game that we can change mechanics on the fly, and twin stick shooter really just stuck out for us.
Yeah, it really did work well in that scenario, because it's just like the levels were really fun. The gameplay is like at its base core, like everyone knows how a twin stick shooter works, so it's not like you really need to learn anything going in, so it's an easy to pick up really quickly type of game. And the fun stuff that like the chat got to vote on was really, really interesting. It actually like was a lot more fun than I expected to see the game evolve, right? Like it started out as, very, very bare bones, like you move, you shoot, and then they have to vote on like, how do you find new items? And then how do you find health? And what do the enemies do when you hit them? And all these like things, like the decisions that the chat was making started synergizing with each other, where like enemies would get enraged and chase you, and then when they die they would explode, and it's like, oh shit, did they think that out? When I know the answer is no, there's thousands of people, but it worked out nicely.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. I think when that game comes out, like all those choices will be able to be like configured on your stream once again, so like your chat will be able to decide like how you get those power-ups again, and you can awesome. Restart from scratch, and you get to play the same experience basically with your own communities. So that was fun. And then obviously we did the GDQ speed run of Dark Souls with some crowd control effects.
I saw that. That was really cool.
Yeah, we hope to show some of those effects off in the actual Dark Souls packs come December. But that was really fun. with everything with speedrunning, it's always fun. GDQ, talking with some of the people from GDQ is really nice since, didn't get to see a lot of them. But yeah, Glitchcon was just really fun, I think. And, it was a long day for us at Warp World. It was a long day for people at Twitch, but like, it was a good Saturday to just kind of go, and it felt like a TwitchCon essentially, which is hard to replicate.
I mean, it makes sense because the last 2 TwitchCons, you and I have we've been manning a booth, right? Like, so.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It makes sense for TwitchCon to feel like work for us.
Yep.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Honestly, it feels like the progression just keeps coming. And you were saying it earlier, but like 5 years ago, we're sitting here on Twitch streaming, doing whatever. And then now we're a part of the pinnacle online experience for the whole website, which is just so unreal to think about.
Yeah, 5 years ago, we're like, just let us tell you what to do. Speaking of which, though, they did. So one of the cool things that they announced during the dev day of TwitchCon was channel points.
Yes.
So we've known about channel points forever. People have channel points on channels, but this was a way for developers to interact with channel points and create rewards and allow users to redeem them for whatever. And like, that was a big feature that people have wanted in crowd control forever. And people are like, oh, crowd control, why won't you do channel points, in that voice? And it was always like, we want to, but we can't, because like there's no API for it. So finally there's an API. I was wondering where that noise was coming from.
Did that broadcast through? Yes. My someone subbed while I was offline, and it triggered my sub alert. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I was like,
I wasn't sure if it was going through to you. I was like, I don't know how to stop this.
I was trying to figure out if it was coming from my computer.
Yes. I still know what I'm talking, but so essentially, channel points has been something we wanted to bring to crowd control for a long time, but there was no easy way. Some people had always found like hacks, like, oh, you could do it like this, and it's like, yeah, that works for your channel. It doesn't work for the thousands of streamers that are using crowd control. But now there's an easy way for channel points to be used to redeem coins for crowd control. Or other things. So like, you just created like, a roller coaster tycoon mod. I'm not going to say it's crowd control because, it's Twitch interaction. And you're not competing against us with that, but that's something that you can now look into using channel points for.
Right. Yeah. I've written some code that uses that, but I think the most interesting thing that you had in there, I think the thing that I was most impressed by that I wasn't aware was actually just a new feature from some of the new features they released was the fact that I don't have to create all of those channel point rewards on my own. Like your plugin can create them on the fly, which I think is really actually they kind of buried the lead on that one almost. Because like the plugins being able to, okay, you start the plugin and it creates all these channel point rewards for you, and then they delete themselves afterwards.
Yeah. So it sounds like you actually used crowd control to take a look at how that worked. Yeah. Yeah. So like we have, I'll give you the details. Like we create them and then I disable them. And then after a few minutes, then I delete them. And that way, like I'm not recreating and creating and deleting them so many times if you're stopping and starting games. So it kind of gives a buffer on that. But yeah, it works really well. And like I said, like the biggest thing was like creating these rewards was going to be a hassle for streamers. And right now, so with crowd control, we have no insight into how many channel points users have in general or at all. Like Twitch is very close to keeping that a secret because they don't want people to determine watch times or something. I don't know. I don't know what the harm is in that, but like, they're like, oh, we don't want users or developers to know like, oh, this person has 1 million points. They must have watched for 4 months. Like, is that not sub badges? Don't sub badges kind of tell you like, oh, this guy's at least been here for 4 months. That seems good enough. Like their whole reason doesn't fly.
If that's their rationale, that's a little bit backwards because I mean you could pretty much reverse engineer that information if you make certain assumptions.
Yep.
Still.
Yeah. So we don't know. And so like right now, crowd control and channel points are limited in certain ways. Like we have it restricted. You can redeem each reward up to 8 times per stream. So to speak, or you can change that number from 8 to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but you can't have it unlimited because what we didn't want to do is have somebody start up crowd control and somebody use all of their points. Like maybe they have 500,000 points and now all of a sudden they have like $5,000 worth of coins, essentially. They're never going to buy coins in your channel again. And they might be an asshole. And they might just like kill you nonstop for 4 hours.
That's actually a really good point.
And what really makes fun, like crowd control, what makes it fun is that you can get some money from it, but you get to that engagement with your viewers. But it could just take one person to really ruin it with channel points. So we want to make it sure like we release it slowly, and we're looking at the responses that people are giving us. And well, I've already upped the number. It started at 2, and I'm like, that's too small. And then I went to 4, 6, and now 8. And 8 seems pretty good right now, but we're probably up it a bit. And then the coin total, like right now, I'm not exactly set with it. I think it's like for every 100 channel points you get 1 coin, which again I think like we might take a look at that and adjust that, or allow the streamers to adjust it, pretending if they're affiliate partnered or Warp World Pro or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, like we don't want channel points to ruin your experience, and we're not trying to like keep it from, like a lot of people are like, oh, you're a business, you're just trying to keep money. I'm not going to lie, there's a little bit of truth to that, but really we don't want this to ruin crowd control's image as like this thing just makes a mess of my channel.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to be very conscious of that. And
yeah,
not everyone
there was definitely a limiting element before. Like if someone really wanted to be a jerk to you, well, they had to pay
Exactly.
to be a jerk.
Exactly.
And so if they could just do it with a wealth of channel points, then that really does lead to the potential for, all right, I'm just going to turn this off. This isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, yeah. At least if you're getting killed for the 56th time in Mario 64, you're sitting there and you're frustrated, but you can keep a kind of smile on your face because you know that it brought you a little bit of cash into your pocket.
It was like at Mario Master Coliseum. We had to get the same star like 30 times in a row, and it's like, well, at least money's going to charity for this.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember my friend, I got to demo test when we did the 64 pack. And I spent the first hour and a half getting the Chain Chomp star over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
And it should be mentioned, channel points do not work when you are doing a charity stream with crowd control, when you're doing like one of the charities that we have support for right now, because you'd just be taking money from a charity at that point.
Right.
And so, do you hate charity? Come on.
Sounds like they might. Well, yeah, like this has been thought through. I worked on this exclusively. Like I worked with some feedback from our other developers and Warp World members, but like I worked exclusively on this feature, and I put everything into it. And so like I made sure I covered a lot of bases here, and it seems to be going fairly well. People are redeeming them, and people are overall happy with them. We've dubbed something called pre-support right now because it does require a permissions update on your Twitch channel. If you don't go and log into the website to update those permissions, our bot will go into your channel and be like, hey, it looks like you're trying to enable channel points, but you don't have the right permissions. Please log into the website. And that has saved many Discord messages. Not all of them. Some people still read
That's
that
smart.
and don't know what to do. But yeah, it's saved a lot because I see how many we sent, and we've sent a lot. But then like 2 minutes later, like I see, oh, they connected it. So they read it. So it's working. But yeah, it's been fun. It's great to finally have these features. Twitch does really try to add things as much as people don't think they do. They have a lot of people working there. And speaking of that, they did just add something new. That's a new form of ads.
Very popular.
Hot topic.
Yes, everybody loves
The
ads.
reviews are coming in. People are loving it.
Well, obviously, yeah, ads, no one likes them. We don't want them, but we've talked about it with Fef a couple episodes ago. We've talked about it a lot. Ads, necessary evil, like if we want our internet to be as fruitful as it is, someone needs to get paid. Let's let the advertisers do it if they can put some pictures up. We don't like what they've been doing up until now with the interrupting mid-rolls and the excessive pre-rolls, unskippable, all that jazz. But I'm actually kind of intrigued by their latest ad system here. And the concept is they're called multiplayer ads. And what it is essentially a multiplayer ad will come up on the screen, I believe. I don't really understand how it works in terms of visually. I think it just puts an overlay on top of the video player, triggered by the streamer, and then the audience will have an ad presented to them in the form of a poll, and they will choose whatever option they feel like choosing. their votes will give bits to the streamer to then, spread around however they like. It's an interesting implementation because what I like about it is they're trying something creative and they're trying something different when that's what we've really been wanting out of them. I don't love having to see more ads, but I do feel like this is the first time in this whole ad debacle that like Twitch has kind of showed that like maybe they are listening a little bit,
Yeah.
I will say I'm not in love with it, but I do think that at least it shows the idea to innovate. I mean, they're I think the fact that what they give to the streamer is bits that they can't redeem themselves. They have to give them to someone like it. I mean, I can launder all mine through Sky, but it's like, why not just pay the streamer for the ads that they're showing? But they are innovating. I don't know, Jaku, you run with it.
Yeah, no, like, yeah, they are trying something new. And I think that's what people have been wanting is like, the way ads work on other sites don't work on Twitch. And so this is a step in the right direction, having some sort of interactivity in the ad that, doesn't necessarily completely cover the screen, but lets the person kind of interact with it and pay out the streamer in bits is kind of neat. It is Twitch money at the end of the day. And like you said, not everyone has Sky bills that they can put the money towards and get back in some way. But like, at the end of the day, it is kind of nice that they are doing this. And like, I was part of the ad review. They did a panel about a month ago or so. And like, this was one of them. And like, a lot of people seem to have liked this one. And this one does seem pretty cool. I don't know how I feel about multiplayer ad. That sounds like a weird, like,
that's such a strange way to phrase it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes enough sense because it is like to try and get as many people voting as possible, right? But it's definitely a kind of strange spin on it.
Yeah, it's a poll at the end of the day so yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I do think like it will incentivize more streamers to call out the ads too. Like, hey guys, like this, there's a multiplayer ad up. Go and interact with it. You can get me more money by doing it. And like a lot of the questions, like it's actually something that might be a little bit more interesting to the viewers here. The example they have is like, what's your favorite Twitch gift card? And so like they have thank you, happy birthday, happy holidays, congratulations. And like, okay, I really don't care about any one of those. If I receive a Twitch gift card, I don't care what it says on there. Like it could say happy birthday. That's the meme, right?
But an advertiser could use that to ask you what sauce do you prefer with your chicken nuggets? So they can kind of get some market research.
The example I think they used was actually a Pepsi one. And it's like, what's your favorite Pepsi flavor? And it's like, well, you don't have an option for Coke. So
I like brown.
So you like brown?
Brown Pepsi.
Brown Pepsi, my favorite one. I like blue Pepsi, actually.
Pepsi Blue.
Yeah.
I like
Pepsi
the Crystal
Blue.
Pepsi, but only the 90s
great.
version. I got a bunch of that still. It's expired, but it's so good. No. But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
Please don't drink that.
I won't. It is interesting to see them innovating in this. And like, we all know ads suck. But we also know the internet runs off of them.
I mean, we're being a little bit generous with calling it innovation. It's not like they're the first ones to do ads that you can interact with to do market research. I mean, YouTube, at least for some amount of time, was running those in the past. I haven't really seen them in a long time, but they did some sort of like market research, like which of these brand names do you recognize, which were interactive. So, I mean, we're letting the word innovation do some heavy lifting here, but at least it's nice that it's not just, let me show you this video and the streamer doesn't really see any of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm kind of on the other side of it with the whole bits thing too. I think it's clever. I know it's not as hot as just getting $5 or whatever, but what I like about it, like from a business stance, is it like puts bits into people's brains. There might be viewers who don't know about bits. So it's also in a small way advertising for bits at the same time in the grand scheme of like the people who are voting. And in addition to that, it's just like I don't know, if I can stream and like I'm about to have downtime and I can run a poll and come back and have another 500 bits, then I'm gonna do that. Like that's awesome, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the polls, if they're, they could be fun too. It's like if we're voting on which nug sauce is the best, bam, that's my next 20 minutes of discussion just figured out right there. I get to clown on every idiot who votes for ranch as the best nug sauce.
the best thing is you could do that right outside of the restaurant and then go buy their choice. And that's just like, that's synergy right there.
That's synergy. That's one of the best business words that exists too. I love synergy. Mission statement, vision.
But yeah,
xWater's now said every business word he knows.
All three of them.
It is interesting, and we'll see what comes of it. So exciting, but also like, keep trying.
Yeah, don't let this be the end of exploring ads. Absolutely, keep trying other stuff.
Yeah, maybe they should have like some chatbot ads. Like that's something they haven't tried. Like having actual ads in the chat. And I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea right now, but like, a Wendy's sponsored message that says like ad next to it. And it's a Wendy's ad in the chat and like people could click on it. Like that doesn't hurt
they'd have to do it with a tab at the top, kind of like they do with the bounty board, because
the notification stuff.
The people they really want to see the ads are people in like big streams, and that message is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
Yeah,
it goes quick.
But that'd be an interesting way of doing it, and seeing if any of those chat ads.
I think I'd consider that relatively inoffensive. Yeah. If they showed like just a small little logo and then a little text about, try the new Baker Wapinator. I'm in.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really interesting way to use your platform, because people's eyes are on chat sometimes more than the video.
Sometimes,
let's be honest.
But maybe not everybody though. I think we gotta consider mobile viewers and Chromecast or like broadcast or app viewers.
Well, they're already missing Chromecast in its entirety. Don't tell them. They're gonna fix it one day.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, do ads not play on Chromecast?
No, but don't tell them.
Yeah.
Twitch, if you're listening.
It works. It works perfectly.
I've seen ads on Chromecast, and they're terrible, and they play twice as often.
Yeah, I wish I could click on
that out. Bleep that out so they don't hear it when Big Twitch listens to the Warp World podcast when it drops every Monday.
Yeah. So keep trying is what we're going with.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, I feel like it's the time for a brand new segment I just made up of the podcast. It's going to be called This Week's Villain. I've got a villain for this week, guys.
Is it the Hamburglar?
He stole the double Baker Wapinator. Yeah.
No.
We've got our beloved, our absolute cherished developer of consoles and games, Nintendo.
Sega
has everybody's favorite, the Sega Gamecast. Nintendo has done a couple things this week. A couple things, particularly today. Number one, and we'll go piece by piece on these. But number one,
there's one that's not on here too.
Oh snap! Then lay it. We got three. Villain of the week for sure. Okay, so number one. A massive Smash Bros. Major tournament, the Big House. It's been around for nearly a decade at this point, and they were doing an online format this year. The online format was going to have a Smash Bros. Ultimate tournament, but also a Smash Bros. Melee tournament that uses Slippy, which is the
Toad?
Very much like the Toad, yeah. And Slippy is essentially, to my understanding, I think it's like a fork of Dolphin that introduces netcode, like rollback netcode for making the fighting experience smoother. It has matchmaking, a ton of other stuff to make playing online competitive Melee like a lot more viable for people in this lockdown era, or just even in general, right? Because the GameCube's not going to do it. So Nintendo issued a cease and desist to the Big House saying, don't run your tournament. If you're using Slippy, you're not running the tournament. We're cease and desisting you.
It wasn't just that. It was the whole thing. I think that to some extent they tried to figure out whether or not they could still run the Ultimate tournament. That was out too.
Yeah, I'm looking at the statement that they posted on Twitter, and it says, the Big House is heartbroken to share that we've received a cease and desist from Nintendo of America to cancel our upcoming online event. We were informed we do not have permission to host or broadcast the event, primarily due to the usage of Slippy. So yeah, there definitely sounds like there are other factors at play there. I'm sure Nintendo can flip the switch at any point for any tournament of any of their games to be like, nope, not allowed.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say this right now. Like the last time Nintendo's done a shutdown or a cease and desist like this, they came out with their own like version of it. So maybe they're doing Melee. Probably not though. All right. So that's one reason why they're the villain. What's reason number 2? Let's get all the villain reasons out.
All right. Reason number 2. So and this one's a little confusing. So this one is definitely a little tough, but we've got kind of a co-villainy here between Twitch and Nintendo. There have been a number of streamers who have been banned off of Twitch for 48 hours due to being hit with a copyright claim or a DMCA claim or some kind of claim towards their channels because they were streaming Age of Calamity before its North American release. However, it is in fact released in Japan and Australia at the time of these broadcasts, and at the time of these at these cease and desist, shutdown. I don't know what to call them, but bans.
Yeah, as of the notice, they were already released in like 3 major regions. North America is the only one lagging behind.
Yeah, and that's like Nintendo sent the cease and desist or whatever. Nintendo sent the order, Twitch executed it. So we got a bit of a sidekick villainy thing going on here. You know, Pinky and the Brain working together on that one to hold Linkus 7 down and various others. I know it happened to more than one person. But that's example number 2 of Nintendo's villainy this week. So Jaku, you got number 3.
So this is also co-villainy, I guess, brought on by Biden. No, Nintendo recently just announced their company guidelines usage for Animal Crossing. Probably in part because of the Biden island. And so basically it lets brands know like what's acceptable for using Animal Crossing and what's not, and like what you're able to do on your island and what you're not able to do on your island. Things like you're not allowed to ask for follows or social media posts and stuff from people on your island. So like very interesting stuff. Like the fact that Nintendo had to come out and say this is really telling of how many companies got on board with Animal Crossing to use it as a promotion tool. And I don't know if this is necessarily a villain thing for Nintendo. I think this is actually kind of good for them to set these guidelines, but it does, ruffle some feathers.
How can they enforce it? Like what power do they actually have to enforce it, or is it just sort of like posturing?
Yeah, I think it's just posturing, and I think at the end of the day, like if they see that, hey, this brand is using Animal Crossing for promotions and they're doing what's out of this guideline, we're just ban their accounts.
It is an interesting question. I would love to hear from like a legal professional. I don't know, maybe Falcon would know, or even common podcast question asker Rated R would have an idea of like what legal grounds would Nintendo have in the situation where, like, let's say like Hellman's did their island, and Cartoon Network has done an island to like do social media stuff. Like, does Nintendo actually have any ground there? Because I kind of feel like maybe they do. I don't understand how all that law stuff works, right? Like, there's got to be a way that they could be like, oh, you're using our game to promote your brand or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Nintendo's always taken such a weird stance on all of these anyway. I mean, it's not, to my knowledge, really ever been litigated, and I'm certainly not a lawyer, so don't listen to a word I'm about to say. But there's sort of this accepted truth that there's a symbiotic relationship between people like using video games for other purposes, like broadcasting, or in the case of promoting on social media for various causes, things like that, but it like simultaneously advertises for the game.
Exactly.
And it's not necessarily, it doesn't check all the boxes for fair use. Your performance may be transformative, perhaps, but that's not significant enough to, is not alone enough to check all the boxes for fair use. And so they technically have the right to flex in some ways, some authority over what you do with it, but like, why? Yeah. Because every time you use one of their video games, they're advertising your video game for you. Biden tweeting out about come to my island if you want to see, like, if you're a Biden super fan, is that a thing? Are there Biden super fans? Maybe you buy Animal Crossing to go check out his island. Like, okay, right. He's done some sales for you.
Yeah. What it comes down to is one of the stuff Nintendo asks companies not to seek financial benefit from the game or share false information about it or deceive others for instance, by pretending that they're officially associated with the platform holder. And I think that's where it really comes down to it. I think a lot of people thought Nintendo worked with these companies because they saw their branding on these islands, and not everyone understood that you could have custom patterns for that. And so I think that's where Nintendo really wanted to step in. And they mentioned
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That actually makes a lot more sense when you put it in that context.
Yeah.
Because, I certainly am smart enough to know that they didn't need to partner with them. But when I find out that, I don't know, like Hellman's Mayonnaise has their own island in Animal Crossing, I think maybe it's a collaboration between them and Nintendo of America or something. So
yeah, Nintendo says that they may be revising these rules down the line, and companies that are not respecting these guidelines may be prohibited to accessing the games in the future. So like, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a legal thing. At the end of the day, it'd be like, oh, we found your account, we're going to ban you. And even that's going to be kind of difficult for them, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah. It's very interesting with the three things we have here. The last one, definitely the least villainous of them all. But man, I'm bummed about the big house a little bit, honestly. Like, I've never been at one, but like, that's like in Detroit, and that has like a really long, fun, cool history. Like, the big house got its name from being literally a tournament, and the first one, some dude just had a big house and hosted a tournament in it, and that's how it all started, right?
I do wonder, like, with it, like, if they weren't doing Ultimate and they just did Melee, like, it's a 20-year-old game. Like, yeah, they still own the game, but like, can you really tell people how to play that game at this point? Like, but I guess they probably have sponsors and stuff, and like, they need to appease those people at this point. And if Nintendo's throwing the hammer down, they don't want to upset the brands that are kind of there.
And I think a lot of it goes with like the traditional, like you mentioned a lot how with when you're talking to Japanese companies, from a Warp World and crowd control standpoint, like a lot of them are kind of against the concept of like having their game modified and played in not the way that they intended. Yeah. Which kind of feels like what net play is to a degree, and kind of like, maybe like I'm just playing, put myself in the head of Nintendo, trying to imagine where the decision comes from. But if it's not related to an upcoming like re-release or something, which I think is also very possible, but if it's not, I feel like it could be them going like, well, we don't want people on the internet to get the impression that like, because obviously people know about Slippy, but the more a big tournament and this kind of stuff use it, the more that like it's going to spread.
I think that's the bigger thing. I think they're probably trying to avoid Slippy. I mean, Nintendo spent years trying to convince people that emulation was synonymous with piracy, and they ended up losing that argument several times in court, but that hasn't really changed their stance on it. And with Slippy, I mean, let's be honest, it is not required for you to pirate the game in order to play the game with Slippy. You can certainly do it with a completely legal copy of the game, and you can and emulation is not illegal by its nature. But that's probably not the way a lot of people are playing it, and they probably don't want to have that big of a platform advertising it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's got to be a lot of where their mindset comes from on this one. The Age of Calamity thing, I'd love to believe it's just like some fuck up happened, like someone fucked up somewhere. But this one pisses me off because I've been in the shoes of having a false, or at least an unjust claim. Mine was a false claim, but I feel like this is an unjust claim. And there's nothing that, at least to my knowledge, nothing that Linkus was able to do, or any of the other streamers who were banned were able to do in response to this. You're shut down. You can dispute it, but like, it doesn't matter.
Damage is already done.
Exactly. The damage is already done. It doesn't matter if someone comes in and like gives you your channel back in 2 hours. Like, thanks for
no recompense for what they did.
Right. And it's just so annoying to see it happening to people. And there's no way to like, there's literally nothing you can do about it. There's nothing. This can happen to anyone at any time.
I prefer a gracious viewpoint where it's like someone from Nintendo of America or some third party who is North American based saw it being broadcast and said, oh, it must have been, one of the leaked copies of the game, completely oblivious to the fact that I prefer the more gracious viewpoint on this one than just like Nintendo shutting people down for playing the game.
Yeah, I'm certain that's got to be what it is. What I would love to see is a sign of goodwill from Nintendo and Twitch towards the people that had the copyright strikes like thrown towards them. Like, if you're gonna ban Linkus for 2 days off the thing, maybe be like, hey, we falsely claimed you there. Sorry about that. Here's a little Zelda like fucking gift package or some shit. It's got a little toy Master Sword and like a Triforce key, like, you know, just something to say like, we apologize for the fuck up. Like, we know, because how many copies of Breath of the Wild you think Linkus has like indirectly sold for fucking Nintendo? It's so weird to like use that argument, like, because we're basically saying like, Nintendo, no, I pay you an exposure. Come on.
Yeah. No, it would be nice for them to do that, but it would still not be enough. Like, there's no system in place, and like, we're learning a lot about this year. Twitch doesn't have a lot of systems in place for certain things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what needs to be addressed, and what Twitch needs to do to make it up. Like, okay, here's a keychain, here's some DLC, here's a eShop gift card. But in addition to that, we are reevaluating the system. We are making it so that you can dispute it and remove this ban, because like, it doesn't sound like anyone's going to get unbanned. They're just going to 48 hours. Okay, I'll see you in 48 hours. Oh, sorry about that. That was a mistake. We'll remove it from your record. But those 48 hours already happened.
Yeah,
that's
exactly
what it's going to be. So it would be nice to see them actually update the system. And also, like, there needs to be some sort of consequences for companies that are filing these falsely. Like, there really isn't.
I hate that shit, dude. I hate that to my fucking core, man.
Like, the person at Nintendo would be a lot more likely to pay attention and understand what they're doing if they knew that, like, Twitch would come back and be like, no, you fucked up. That's not, we found that to be false, and you filed like 50 false ones. We understand, like, you're trying to nip this piracy thing in the bud, but like, this person is European. The game was out in Europe. What are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like a simple amendment to this whole thing could be, instead of like an immediate takedown situation, it could be like you have 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours to decide whether or not you want to like accept or dispute this claim, and it opens it up to abuse the other way around. But yeah, I mean, right now it's really one-sided, where the claimer, whoever's claiming, what's the word for that?
Claimee?
The claimant? Okay, so the claimant has all the power, every ounce of power. There's no repercussions for claiming falsely. Like, I don't know how to do it, but if I figured it out, I could go and send an email to Twitch, or send a claim Twitch to on authorblues stream saying, hey, this guy just broadcasted the acapella version of Careless Whispers that I recorded, and he doesn't own the rights to that. I do. Take him down. And
I mean, this circles back to the discussion about all the DMCA stuff that was happening on Twitch.
Yeah.
With, you know, it is conceivable that I may face some sort of punishment for it, but it would not be very hard for me to basically disable the entirety of Ninja's VOD archives by just DMCA claiming them all. And Twitch is required to respond immediately, and I'm not required to reply to those claims for like 30 days. So I could basically just nuke the entire VOD archives for 30 days, hold it hostage.
Yeah.
Well, but there's like not a system in place to address that.
Yeah. Technically, Twitch doesn't have to reply immediately. They have 48 hours. When I worked in web hosting, I was responsible for a lot of the DMCA stuff, and like, we would respond as quick as we could, but like, we really had 48 hours. And, you know, many times we were like, hey, this is a dedicated server. We're not just going to shut down the entire server. We're going to reach out to our client. And if we don't hear back in 36 hours, we'll take action. And we usually heard back by then. But, and you know, obviously if you were streaming all of a sudden and you got an alert like, hey, we got a DMCA alert about your stream right now. Is this accurate? And you're like, most people would be like, no. But there'd be consequences to that. And I think, like, understand that, yes, there'd be consequences to saying no. But as people know, there's going to be consequences, because Twitch is going to follow up afterwards. Like, if you lie to that, you just get banned from Twitch completely. Whereas, like, if there's not, you're going to say, yeah, this is fine. And then 48 hours, like, you're going to be done streaming by then anyways. And they can handle it later and figure out where to go from there. But, like, it does seem very backwards that this is...
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is that a compromise in either direction hurts whichever party is being compromised.
Yeah.
In that, you know, like if you say, okay, well, we won't respond to it immediately, we'll reach out to the broadcaster. Well, the sorts of people that you're actually worried about are people who are just creating burner accounts and streaming stuff they're not supposed to. And if they say no and you ban them after the fact, they don't care. They're just going to make another one. So
this could be a great perk for partners.
Yeah,
you know,
24-hour response time window for DMCA claims.
Yeah.
That would be a great partner perk. You've earned the trust of the platform at this point, because obviously you're not just going to tank your own fucking partner channel, and maybe someone will, and then you deal with it. Like that's
actually a really great. That's a really, really great point. Maybe that would be a way to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like they did kind of.
Mickey, you can finally send that email.
Twitch did used to require all partners to also get emotes approved, and like remember that process. So like only in the last year did we finally get to be able to be like, no, all partners get approved emotes immediately, and then we'll figure it out later. I'd be holding my breath on this, but same system. I feel like at this point is it would probably help, and like it'd be a great partner perk. It'd be another reason why you'd sign that contract, because let's be honest, there's less and less reasons for people to sign that thing now.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
There aren't too many differences between a partner and an affiliate, other than like the check mark,
or even just stream with donations, not worry about partnership at all, and use multiple platforms.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good way to go about it, because if you're streaming on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, like your chat interaction is going to be a mess, but it's definitely an option, and it could work really smoothly. Like I know if I was like someone like Harry Mack, he's like the freestyle rapper YouTuber guy. He does YouTube streams where like he'll do freestyle raps related to the words and the donations, and he's fucking incredible at it. But that's the kind of guy who could do a stream to YouTube, to Facebook, and to Twitch at the same time, and any donation that comes in, he could just, use that.
Yep. So speaking of choices,
all right,
God bless you.
We got we got one of the biggest choices of the year to some. And that's got to be the Game Awards, Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The 6 or so games that are up for that title have been posted, and those games are Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing: New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. Pretty good list right there.
Not a bad list.
Not a bad list.
I think I know where both of you guys are going. I kind of know where I'm going, but I want to throw one out there just that, I think we can all agree on, and it is Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Like, that game was with us at the start of this pandemic, and it's still there. And like, just for that fact alone, it bringing so many people together in this time of need, it's the wild card. I feel like I think it's got a big chance.
I think it's got a big chance too. Like if Animal Crossing: New Horizons wins, I'm gonna sit there and say, I accept and understand this. They're like, I think it has every right to claim the title, as do I think Ghost of Tsushima and Hades do. Those are my three that I think have the right to claim Game of the Year title this year. Any one of those wins, and I will feel like the right decision was made in terms of game quality and impact and all that jazz.
Yeah,
is the Game Awards like fan voted on, or is it a panel?
They do both. Like they will have the fan voted one. I already threw my votes in, but they do
because if you do fan voting, I feel like you're gonna really like hit the ones that have the broader appeal, right? Animal Crossing had a much broader appeal to it. Doom is a well-known franchise that has spanned for 35 years at this point. Got Final Fantasy VII is huge, so like the game I would pick on here necessarily not everyone has played probably. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and so I think they do the community poll, but they also have like a panel that chooses, and I'm not exactly sure who is involved in making that decision.
Top men. The one thing I would argue though is like for the mass appeal, like Animal Crossing, I think would lose that because there's a lot of us that could go and vote for it, but there's a lot of people that are not so savvy to the Game Awards have no idea what they are. They're like, I got Animal Crossing because I needed a game. And they're not going to come and vote on this. So I would say, like,
Sure.
Animal Crossing getting that vote is probably less likely than it actually winning it from the panel.
Yeah, there's sort of a self-selection process for people who vote on the Game Awards, and it may be people who, I really hate to say this out loud, people who consider themselves more hardcore gamers,
Real gamers,
who may be otherwise dismissive of a game like Animal Crossing. So that's actually a good point.
Yeah. But last year I called it with God of War as Game of the Year. This year,
I think that was 2 years ago. I think last year was Sekiro.
Oh yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah. God of War's older than last year.
My God, time. Well then, so I'm kind of like thrown. I think Hades, like, it's got a good chance, but I think like not enough people have played it, unfortunately.
That's, I think, the problem with it. Hades is definitely my game of the year. And most of the people I've talked to, I think the thing that sets Hades apart from the rest of the things on this list is that all of these games had such fantastic qualities that made them so popular, but they also had a lot of negative aspects to them as well. Things that, they might have missed the mark on. And my experience, my limited bubble that I'm a part of, really seems to be of a unanimous opinion that Hades just doesn't have those. Like there's not really a low point in Hades. And I think that's one of the things that definitely sets it apart. But I think to the extent that it comes down to being a popularity contest, I think Hades won't be able to clutch it out.
Yeah, not in the popularity contest for sure. I do like to see that, like, this is the second year running that we have an indie game thrown into the mix. Like Celeste was nominated when it was in there. I think that was last year, or maybe that was 2 years ago. But
that had to have been 2 years at this point.
It had to have been longer ago.
Yeah, but regardless, it was awesome to see Celeste nominated. I would love to see Hades win. I feel like this is our chance, Auth. We can take a minute to gush about it a little, because I fucking love this game, dude.
Hades is such a good game.
Literally genre defining, dude.
Yeah, it's a roguelite for people who don't like roguelites. It's a dungeon crawler for people who don't like dungeon crawlers. It combines a lot of the best aspects of a lot of different genres and mixes it into something really, really good. It's got incredible art direction. It's got incredible music. The voice acting is some of the best I've ever seen. Not just quality of the voice acting, but I've played for more than 80 hours at this point, and I can't name a whole lot of voice lines that I've heard more than once.
Yeah, like, dude, every run it feels like they had like for however you died, you'll have an interesting voice line. Every time you encounter a god, they'll like have a line about the last god you encountered or the last thing you killed. Like I've had like 40 hours logged in the game, and I don't think I've heard the same line twice.
There are so many like narrow triggers for voice lines. Like, for instance, if you open one of those eternal troves and the number when you finally get a chance to open it, so like there's this mechanic in the game where you can gamble for some loot, where it tells you, this box is worth 150 gems, for instance, but however long it takes you, that number ticks down. If you end with 69 left, he goes, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's got a ton of beautiful little touches like that. And like on top of it all, what I really love about it is like it unfolds in a way that is really, really, really welcoming to the player. Like you start with one weapon, and then as you progress, you unlock 6. You start with access to a particular amount of gods, and then you get more, and then you get access to more abilities, and then as you're growing more and more, they give you these these ways to like just passively buff yourself from the start. And then as you get those buffs from the start, you're able to make it further in your runs. And then as you're making it further in your runs, you're getting better loot.
Runs. Yeah, over like your first 20 runs, they slowly introduce mechanics that finally ramp you up to being powerful enough to succeed at the game. Like, they don't drop it right out the gate. I've tried several times to do a clear off of your first attempt where you are very, very nerfed, and it is hard. They really do buff you over time and introduce you slowly to mechanics that make you feel like you're growing more powerful, not just by becoming better at the game, but by giving you more of the tools you need. And on that note, I think that this game has one of the most conscientious, thoughtful approaches to accessibility and difficulty scaling. because it has a God mode built into it. And if you turn that on, the game doesn't just instantly get easier. So this is an accessibility assist mode, basically, to make the game possible if you find yourself struggling with it. But God mode doesn't just instantly make the game easy. Instead, every single time that you fail, you get a very subtle attack damage boost. You get a very subtle defense boost, and it builds up until you finally are at a level where you start to win, and then it sort of tries to, like, scale it based on whether or not you're losing or winning more and more. So it doesn't like coddle you. It doesn't make you feel, it doesn't give you that feeling of insecurity, like, oh, I had to play it on easy mode to finally win it. Like, you have to go through your paces to get to that point. So.
Yeah.
I had not looked at that at all. That's really cool. That's a really good implementation of an accessibility mode. I like that. I've loved like the gameplay from this studio, from Supergiant. Like, from game one, Bastion was so good, and I loved like the isometric action RPG style combat that they have, and they've just given you so much to work with in the game. Like, what I like, each weapon has like inside of it 4 separate variations too, which give you 24 separate ways to essentially approach your baseline build. And then there's the 8 or so gods that give you ways to approach your builds, and you mesh and mix those powers.
Every time you play it, you get 4 random gods from the 8 god pool, so you never really get the same combination even.
Mm-hmm.
You're always getting a subset of 4, and there's 8 choose 4 different combinations of god mixes you can get, and each one of them present you with 3 random boons off of their list, and you can take one of like 24 random keepsakes on a run. And there's more items that I don't want to spoil for anyone who's playing the game that you can get down the road, and more things that you can unlock as you level things. Like, you can play it for hundreds of hours and probably never once play it the same way if you wanted to keep mixing it up.
Yeah, and the balance is so good too. Like, you can play every round with the gloves and feel like the gloves are the strongest thing, and then someone else can feel the exact same way with the bow, and someone else can do that with the spear, because all of the weapons like have their strengths and weaknesses with specific play styles, and it's so cool to see everyone like fall into their own like cool play style of how they like doing it. I don't know about you, Both. I'm a fist man. I like to fist the enemy up and down the dungeon. I like going for the like 50% dodge rate. I'll get the Hermes feather, and I'll start with the 15% bonus dodge on my gloves, and I'll just go in, and Hades can't even touch me at that point.
Yeah, I'm big on the magnet fist, the aspect of Talos, and I consider myself pretty good with the shield, which seems to be relatively unpopular. And I have recently become a convert on the rail, the gun. I finally figured out why it is the speedrunner's choice weapon, because it is busted
Triple
once
shot?
you figure out. No, well, I mean, getting 5 times rocket shot is definitely the dream, but the aspect of Eris makes it so that if you're within the blast radius of the explosion, you do, like, for 6 seconds, you do 50% more damage. Yeah. So, like, once you learn how to mix that in your play style, it's really busted. But, like, I have people come into my chat all the time who are like, oh, I do really well with the bow. And it's like, well, I'm not very good with the bow, but it's impressive that you are good at it.
Yeah, I did a run where I let my chat choose every boon and my weapon, and I showed up at Hades with the bow, and I just melted through him. Like, it's the one that auto targets the volley of arrows, right? And I got like the
Chiron.
Yeah, and I got the hammer that gives the additional arrows, so I had like 9 arrows shooting. And then each of those arrows had a chance to crit. And then every time they crit, like, I just had everything working together perfectly in that particular run, that just anytime I pressed the Y button, Hades was like, ooh, ow, ooh, my butt, ooh. So it's just so good. And the story, like, we haven't even touched about how good, like, it is, that I'm so happy that they were able to, like, build a story into a roguelite in such a good, fun, cool, creative, clever way.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but I wasn't quite sure how they were going to make it feel compelling to do multiple runs in the story, and they sold me on it.
Yeah.
The whole thing just feels like it's not, this ham-fisted attempt to try to put a story on top of it. Like, it works. It all works.
Yeah.
The whole game just works. It is a whole package.
Works.
We're sitting here hyping up such minuscule points that we like about the game, but the whole game is just a perfect package. Please go play Hades if you haven't.
I haven't.
Seconded. Go play it.
I've
Jaku.
wanted to. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
I'll
No,
try.
I know you're
such
busy.
a busy man.
You got
I'm
Ghost of
busy,
Tsushima
man.
on your plate right now too.
Yeah. But I've seen you guys play a bit of it, and like it seems so good. Just the visuals alone, but the voice lines that I have heard and like hearing more about it, it's super exciting sounding, and like it just sounds like an amazing game. So
Well, that was all of my fangirling about Hades.
Yeah.
That's fine. You guys do that. So let's rule out 2-3 games like Doom and Last
I
of
don't
Us.
think
Those
Doom's
are
getting
like
it. I don't think Last of Us
those
is
are
getting it.
yeah. I think like
I
Doom.
I definitely would cross those both off. Yeah.
Yeah. Final Fantasy, I'm only going to say it has a chance just because it's Final Fantasy and it's Final Fantasy 7 and it's
A lot of people who actually played through it though didn't care for it in its entirety. There seems to be some. I haven't played it yet, so I can't speak to it myself, but what I hear from people is that it left a sour note in some spots.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Doom and Final Fantasy are the two on this list that I haven't like played through, at least not fully. I played the Final Fantasy demo, so I guess I have a little bit with that, but 2 hours maybe isn't enough to really say much. I liked the combat system. I can say that much about it, but I don't think that's new. I think they've been doing their combat system like that in like 15 and maybe a bit in 14, or not 14, but 13.
Yeah.
I very much want Hades to win, but I think Animal Crossing is probably the strongest second contender for me.
Really? Because I think it's Ghost of Tsushima.
I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, so I can't speak to that. So
I think it's like I basically pulled guests in one by one to just talk about my favorite games on these lists.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, like Fef came on and I was like, all right, Fef, we gotta nerd out about Ghost of Tsushima.
What really sucks is like they nerded it out about it, and now I'm playing it, and now you guys nerd about Hades, and now I'm gonna have to play that.
Yeah,
I've been reading books
ready
like a
for
nerd.
that Ghost of Tsushima Online. I know we haven't done it yet. We still got
we got to do that.
Yeah.
It's
so good off. It's so good.
I would love to see Hades for you guys. And so like that'd be great. But yeah, I think it's Ghost or Animal Crossing out of that list. But we'll see. We got some time to when did the December, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be like mid-December-ish.
Yeah.
So it says on this list, it says on this page, a committee of more than 90 media outlets and influencers selected the games. So that doesn't say anything about the sort of final voting, but the nominations came from. I would imagine that it's going to be a similar type of pool that actually does the final voting, though.
I would assume so. Yeah, it's so hard to choose because like Animal Crossing deserves it, but so does Ghost, so does like they're all really amazing in their own regards. It's hard to say that one is the pinnacle game of this year.
Listen, guys, 2020 was such a bad year, so this is going to be the games of the year.
Yeah, we need
and
more
they
than
all
one.
won.
Okay, if you predict that correctly, if they pull that and you predict that correctly, then you're a wizard. I don't know. I'm gonna come to you for lottery numbers.
Man, the more I think about it, the more I think it is going to be Animal Crossing, though.
Yeah, it's just I feel like too many people are gonna like. It's been around for so long, and like I had that whole rule last year, I think, or 2 years ago, where I'm like, the game has to be out for like almost a year for it to really be game of the year in my mind. When a game comes out like in October, like it made it in this year, but did it really have that much impact for 2 months? It had been a huge...
Hades has been in early access for more than a year at this point.
Yeah.
So
Hades.
I think it has at least. I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep circling back to Hades. Let's talk about other things.
All right. Well,
I just realized everything you say, I'm going to circle back to Hades. I have to stop myself.
All right. Well, I got a way to stop that. Game Awards, we'll follow that closely. We'll get some more information as that comes. But I think it's time for this week's hot take, guys.
Hot take.
I'm feeling hot, especially hot tonight.
Yeah.
This one hits home.
Hashtag justice for Grand Pooh Bear.
Yeah. So this is everyone's hot take this week. So during Glitchcon, there was a Twitch Rivals event with many games, but obviously Fall Guys was one of them. And Pooh and his team of, I don't even know how many, but Pooh and team have been banned from Twitch Rivals for 6 months, prize money withheld, 1 week ban on Twitch, due to the xQc stream sniping and for Pooh being complicit. Everybody on the Discord actually got banned except for Tfue on this one. And so the question really comes down to is this just? Is this fair that everyone's getting the same sort of disciplinary action on this except for Tfue? Like that's the weird odd man out, and I think we could talk about that for whatever reason. But let's focus on this. Was this fair? Was a week Twitch ban fair for everyone on that Discord that they did ban, or should it only have happened to xQc?
So yeah, and I'll bring this up real quick because the Twitch Rivals posted like a big little thing about it.
Yep.
They cite a particular part of the Twitch policy around stream sniping in an online game, and here it is. Any activity such as cheating, hacking, botting, or tampering that gives the account owner an unfair advantage in an online multiplayer game is prohibited. This also includes exploiting another broadcaster's live broadcast in order to harass them in-game, such as stream sniping. So this does exist within the Twitch terms of service or the Twitch policies, but also within the Twitch Rivals rule set. So from what the situation, as I understand it, is that xQc was essentially like stream sniping and targeting griefing. I don't exactly know because I didn't watch it live. We were busy doing the Let's Make a Game and everything. So I was kind of checked out from the streams at that point. But from what I understand is that I think Pooh was not like alive or not in this session. I think he was spectating, or maybe he was playing along. But they had xQc essentially griefing other teams, and Night Blue, Mendo, Grand Pooh Bear, and Tfue, who are also on this team. I don't know what level of interaction or anything that they had with these actions. I've heard that the reason that this is happening is because the ones that got banned from Twitch for the week, for the 7 days, from my understanding, is because they were like in voice chat with xQc, maybe calling out targets or like very aware that it was happening and not trying to stop it, or maybe even encouraging it. I didn't see it. I don't know. And I think that's why Tfue didn't get the 7-day Twitch ban, is because maybe Tfue was one who was just in the call, but didn't call out or didn't encourage or go along with it. I'm not entirely sure on that.
At least Pooh's specific account of his involvement, he said that he did call out some things. So
yeah,
I mean, he owned up to what he did on Twitter. He sort of put it all out there in a pretty respectful way. He responded to some people's criticism in the replies. He elaborated on some things, and by his account of it, I didn't watch that part, but by his account of it, he was calling out like where to go and where the people to target were. So it's tough. I mean, Twitch certainly probably feels like they have to make an example. But it's always hard to say whether or not the punishment necessarily fits the crime, for big broadcasters, asking them to, taking a week off is big. It's bigger than it seems.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting, and like you said, Pooh's definitely like taking this very well and has expressed like he feels remorse for his call outs. It's interesting because Twitch is really putting the onus on the streamers for not like standing up to xQc. xQc was the one saying he was going to do it, and it's one of those things where it's really interesting. If you're on a Discord call with a group of people and your whole job is to keep it entertaining and fun and light, you're probably not gonna be like, oh man, that's a bad idea, don't do that. You're probably gonna be like, oh, that'd be funny, ha ha ha.
It's really easy to get railroaded by big personalities.
Exactly. So that is kind of where like I think it's kind of unjust for him. Like he did his job of entertaining. At the end of the day, did it change the outcome? I think it swapped the teams around, or they both. I don't even know if it just swapped the teams around for winning.
So again, I didn't see it, but I've read a lot of accounts of it, and people were saying that it didn't change the placements in any meaningful way. So
like, if it,
I don't know
if
that's true. I don't know if that's true.
Let's go with the assumption that it didn't. Like, that seems a little overblown. Then it is kind of hard to really go. I'm glad that they're kind of enforcing these things, and it's going to make it a little easier for people to kind of like people want Twitch to hold them accountable for things.
Right.
So like, it makes sense. And hopefully, like, in the future, more people take this a little bit more serious, because it is a competition. At the same time, Twitch is doing these big tournaments in a public lobby. And like, it's not like this hasn't happened before or with other streamers. Like, there's been tournaments where other big streamers have had their viewers try to match up with them for their advantage and tank so that they could get crowns and things. And like, that's just as bad, if not worse, using your large user base to try to join these games to give you the win. This is kind of a problem on Twitch's end. They need to not have public lobbies. Like, if you can't do a game tournament in a private lobby, like, you're never going to have an even playing field. There's always going to be somebody that has an advantage, whether you know it or not. And that's going to be hard to dispute. And so, like, I think that's the problem that it comes down to.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because the spirit of Fall Guys has never been a competitive tournament game. It's always from the get-go, like we did that to it. Like, the Twitch community turned it into that. Like, we took this fun, lighthearted multiplayer battle royale and started throwing tens of thousands of dollars behind it for prize pools, when, like, and even through the evolution of that game, we've seen after update after update that it has gotten less deterministic. It is, you cannot do as much as you could in the early days of that game to ensure your victory. There's so many random factors. There's 60 people in each lobby, 4 of which you're paired up with. So really, there's already so much that is uncontrollable in this competitive experience. Stream sniping is an example of something that, like, absolutely is, like, it's not bad to see, Twitch bringing down the hammer on that for the sake of the tournament. However, I think receiving a 6-month ban from Twitch Rivals and forfeiting the prize winnings is already a really, really, really strong punishment. I think forfeiting the prize winnings, because I think, if I remember correctly, the minimum for last place prize pool was $5,000 in that tournament, around that ballpark per player, that is.
I heard rumors that Twitch just ran out of money and they needed a way to save some money on this.
Listen, with the way they run that company, I would not be surprised. I think back all the time we did the Historians episode on Sega, and I think back to that episode every time I look at Twitch, because Sega was pretty much like limo, like sending everyone around in limos and like buying super fucking expensive like alcohol for their office and their parties. They were blowing money because they just felt like it, and it was part of what led to, like, Sega.
Yeah,
but it's weird. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like the 7-day ban maybe hit xQc with that directly. Maybe not even xQc with the 7-day ban, though. It feels like
all the points Jaku made really kind of sold me in the other direction. Previously, I was, while I hate to see it happen to someone that I care for so much, on some level, I was like, yeah, I can kind of understand why Twitch did this, and it's understandable. But Jaku raises a lot of good points. There's an emphasis for these Twitch Rivals events to put on an entertaining show. So, of course, you're going to be railroaded by a big personality that says, wouldn't it be hilarious if we did this thing? Right. And so certainly, I think that xQc probably earned himself what he got in the end, but I'm not so certain that that's true of everyone in the party.
Yeah. It reminds me of elementary school, like just knowing that your friend did something wrong, you'd also get like in trouble or some sort of punishment.
Yeah. And like being put like in the position of if you didn't snitch, you're in trouble is a rough position to put someone in, with the just general thoughts around people who snitch. They have a phrase about it. It has to do with stitches.
And not even that, though. I mean, doing that while also broadcasting to thousands of viewers is a really tough position to put anyone in. No one has ever made all of the right calls while they're broadcasting to thousands of viewers.
Yeah.
You're always going to make a few dumb choices once in a while. Yeah. And I just think I think at this point now, after this discussion, I'm kind of convinced that Twitch maybe overplayed their hand a bit here.
Yeah.
I feel kind of the same, yeah.
Yeah.
I think my concern is, and it may be unfounded, but my concern is that large broadcasters might think twice about participating in a Twitch Rivals event if being involved with it and trying to put on a good show, but maybe skirting some of the boundaries of where the rules live exactly might end up losing them a week's worth of income, which for a large streamer is not a small amount of money.
Yeah. I thinking about this real quick. I'm wondering if like Animal Crossing Survivor, if that was on Twitch Rivals, if I would have got banned for my play tactics. I never broke any rules.
I think it would have hit a committee. It would have hit a committee for sure. Yeah.
I never broke any rules.
Yeah, but you never. You know what? It's up for debate, Jaku.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think that's a valid point though. Like, it's gonna make people think twice. Like, oh, if I like, what if a viewer's in my chat like, hey, I'm in that game. I jumped off the cliff for you. Like, is that enough for me to now get banned because one of my viewers said that and they did that?
What if you have 5 viewers in your game who are in the hex with you? It's an 8-person hex. 5 of them are your viewers. Your viewers just all grab the enemies. You didn't tell them to do it, but they did it.
It's tough. I don't want to suggest that, a well-meaning streamer couldn't play by the rules.
Right.
Like, of course it was possible for everyone to play within the boundaries of the rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a large streamer may think to themselves, I'm not sure that this is necessarily worth the risk of my viewers getting involved or me maybe making a dumb choice at the wrong moment. And does that hurt Twitch Rivals? Should they have considered maybe bending the rules very slightly under consideration of what was going on?
Yeah.
It's very tricky. Yeah. It is. I feel like this is one of the more nuanced hot takes because like it really does feel like there's a strong case for both sides. Like especially just the 7-day ban on top of it from the platform. Like, it does feel a little bad because at the end, like, sure, we'll take, like, let's use the assumption, let's just say, yes, they were in the wrong to do what they did. Whether or not you were railroaded by that big personality, whether or not you were the big personality, let's just throw the assumption out that, yes, the people who participated in the stream sniping were in the wrong. But let's now think about the fair punishment here because what it probably won, like, it did make their event, a good event. The event didn't suffer from it. The event was just like the event worked out just fine.
We're still talking about the Twitch Rivals event.
Those players in the event took time out of their schedules. They, essentially participated in the event. Like their payment would have been prize money, but that was taken away. And on top of taking away that prize money for their participation in this event, those big names are what make this event as exciting as it is. Like, people tune in because people like Grand Pooh Bear, Night Blue, xQc are in it. So to ban them for a week after the fact, in addition to stripping that prize money, just feels like the wrong way to approach it. The more I talk about it, like the more I feel like I disagree with the 7-day ban afterwards.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I have pivoted a lot since this conversation started.
Yeah, I think the 7-day ban is the biggest one. Like, I don't think anyone's disputing the 6 months ban. Like,
yeah, the ban from Twitch Rivals feels absolutely warranted. Yeah, like you cheated in our competition technically to our rules, so get out of here for 6 months.
So we're timing you out for a little while.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise the 7-day ban just seems like a bit much there. Because like that's really affecting people, and I get it. They're making an example out of him. Again, I do want to give credit to Grand Pooh Bear though for his response. He is a man that has had very interesting, I guess, experiences in competitions. We've seen him. The famous Pooh Stomp is the one that's coming to mind. Like we've seen that man like accidentally kick his component's console, and like the remorse you could see him feel immediately when that sort of happens. Like, this is not a man that like goes to cheat. This is a man that does his best to entertain and to play, and like at he made one wrong decision and he's getting punished like he was the main conspirator on this one. And like that's just, it's not him. It's not his character, and like it doesn't reflect him. It might reflect XQC though. And so like he goes into this getting bans because that's gonna be that's his style, you know. It's just very interesting. So like again, Pooh's above and beyond in his responses and taking responsibility for this, and I have to give him kudos for that, because like he's always
he's had a very sober response to the whole thing, very clearly remorseful.
Yeah,
it's not the sort of like, oh, just letting you know I made a mistake. Like he very clearly seems to be taking it on the chin. So
yeah. So I'm sure he would love to get in on this hot take, but we're streaming, so we're gonna have to keep him off.
Unfortunately, he can't be here.
Now's our opportunity to say all the mean things about Grand Pooh Bear we would like to.
Yeah. He's got so many hats.
So many.
And where's
too
his
many.
hair?
Yeah.
I was
and
actually
shoes.
thinking. I feel like I unintentionally shaded every bald person the other day. I was talking about wearing hats. Like Twitch sent me a hat for the Glitchcon thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, the fuck am I gonna do with a hat? I got hair. What do I need this for?
Well, let me see that hat. This is just say is that yellow and black?
Yeah, it's exactly like Pooh's style too.
Yeah, it's Grand Pooh Bear's ripping
Right?
off his style.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
You should
Just as
counterclaim.
Grand Pooh Bear there. I'm telling you, this is his chance to stream under Angry Pooh Bear with a mustache, and no one will be the wiser.
No one will know a thing.
All right.
It's okay. We already told Twitch they weren't allowed to listen earlier, so they're
that's
gone
true.
by now.
Yeah, it's maybe you remember this or you've seen this in the past, but like computer systems would be like, oh, if you are like and this was like, you know, Ware's days with a Z, like if you are a legal, like in a position of legal authority, you are not authorized to access this server. Do you remember those warnings at all?
Yes.
Yeah, like that's
it definitely has that big like you legally have to tell me if you're a cop energy.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that works. Sure. That's what we did with Twitch. All right, let's go over to some side questions and wrap this episode up.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, sup nerds? They got us again. Every week we hear at least one of you give a hot take of the week. Well, I want to know your hottest gaming takes of all time. I'll start with my two biggest ones that are fight to the end. 1, Breath of the Wild is not a top 5 Zelda game of all time. Well, yeah, because it's top 1. And 2, factoring in games and power, the DS, 3DS consoles are superior to every other console Nintendo's ever made. Let's get hot with it. Rated R.
Those were hot.
Am I allowed to respond to these takes, or do I have to
go
come up
for
with
it?
my own?
No, go for it.
You can respond to these and come up with your own. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, but the library of the original DMG Game Boy is so far superior to the shovelware that you see on the 3DS is powerful, but the DS library, not that great.
Okay.
Neither is the Game Boy Advance.
Whoa there, bud. Backpedal for 2 seconds. You're going to sit here and tell me that the Game Boy's library outshines the DS's?
Yes.
What?
I'm sorry.
What way?
The original Game Boy's library is so good. It's full of actually super fun games. You're just embarrassed that you're not able to play You're just embarrassed you can't play 4-color games.
I'm embarrassed that I can't play any fucking Fire Emblem on it like I can on my Nintendo DS, along with other hit titles like New Super Mario Bros., Sonic Rush, Kirby Canvas Curse, every fucking RPG that came out on the DS had so much hot content. I'm not trying to sit here and say that the GBA was bad, but the DS was sick.
The DS was pretty sick.
The DS had a lot going for it, dude.
Okay, here's my hot take. Super Mario Sunshine is super overrated.
Oh,
you
shit, you stole mine.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it's fine though.
Oh man. I guess that's not a hot take if we both agreed on it.
Maybe
I've got to come up with something worse. I've got to come up with something more vulgar.
I got to come up with something too then, I guess.
Wand of Gamelon is a top 5 Zelda game. You are all just cowards.
Shit,
that is a hot take.
I did think about Wand of Gamelon, but I was like, I don't know if I could go that hot.
Shoot, I don't know off the top of my head.
That's true. The original DS did have Cory in the House, so
that's true.
Yeah, which I played literally last week, and let me tell you,
I may have to reevaluate.
Cory in the House and iCarly.
What's your hot take, Jaku?
I mean, it was Sunshine, but I got to come up with a new one, and this is tough.
My hot take is that I think I'll get there eventually.
You're getting there. You're stalling for time.
Sometimes I
It's
just
great.
start a sentence and I see whether or not I can get there by the end of it.
Yeah, pretty much exactly that.
I'm looking through my Steam library to
Here's
kind of.
one. Here's another one for you. Bad games are actually good.
I mean, agree.
Coming
Agree.
from you, that is exactly what I would expect.
It is an expected hot take.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you filler while you work out whatever your strangest video games opinion is.
Here's one. League. It's not even applicable anymore because they changed it. But League of Legends was pay to win.
Ooh,
and I hated it.
That's an observation.
It can still be a hot take, I think. I'm looking through my Steam games just because I'm like, I gotta be able to see a game in here, and just be like, yeah, I'm good. I can figure out a hot take from one of these games, but it's just like,
you just gotta. This is very easy. All you gotta do is pick a game everyone hates and say something nice about it.
Mario 64's camera
likes.
is not anywhere as bad as people like to clown it for.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Mario
science.
64's camera is way better than people like to
zoom out with
make
Mario
fun of it.
Cam. You're all just bad at figuring it out. Just zoom out with Mario Cam. It's not that hard.
It gets caught every now and then. It does the same shit in Mario Sunshine. It does the same shit in Mario Galaxy. They didn't figure it out till Odyssey.
Fall Guys is actually a terrible game. You guys just didn't have anything else to play.
That's
funny.
True. That's probably true.
Yeah.
We kind of forced these ones out, but I mean,
it's hard.
I like how hot we got for his hot take.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Breath of the Wild not being a top 5 Zelda game. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of people who are like, Breath of the Wild's not really a Zelda game.
Yeah.
And I guess if you live in that camp, then I can see why you'd feel that way. But you still have to admit that Breath of the Wild is a good game.
Yeah.
Just period. It's a good game.
I know I think it's incredible. And
I understand where a lot of people come from with Breath of the Wild. Like the first 2 hours of it, I was like, I don't know if I like this. But after that, my God, it opened up.
Once you get off the plateau, it's just like, what, dude?
Yeah. So I think it's just people stuck on the plateau. They don't know that there's more to the game. All right. This next question comes from Bodega Kitty. What pivotal moment led you into the world of streaming, gaming, and Twitch? We all know about Pooh's gnarly snowboarding accident that got him into speedrunning. What exact moment got you three to dip your toe into streaming? And how could that moment have played out differently, rendering your toe undipped in another, sadder dimension? So I think we need to answer this in the order that we started streaming. I started streaming in October 2015.
Okay, I started in like July of 2015. When did you start off?
2013.
All right,
okay.
Get started, boy.
Well, I have dipped my toes into lots of other sadder dimensions, but I have a very short attention span, so I've always moved on from something pretty quickly. In fact, Twitch is the longest running thing that has consumed my attention. The longest running before that was maybe 3 years tops. And the thing that made me pivot was watching Siglimix speedrun Super Mario 64. It was a pivotal moment for a lot of the speedrunning community. It brought a lot of people into the hobby. And so I said, I can do that. And so I did do that. Not Super Mario 64. I'm still terrible at that game. But Super Mario World, I did that. And I'm mediocre at that one. And ever since then, I've let my poor attention span pivot me to lots of other games. So,
and your life has definitely changed a lot because of your involvement in Twitch and streaming and speedrunning.
Yeah, I have an obsessive personality. So whatever I do invest myself in, I go head first into the deep end. So my life is consumed by streaming and video gaming now. Not that I didn't play a lot of video games before. All of my hobbies have been video games, but
yeah, I think all of us are video games. We've been in video games forever, but yeah. You've had an experience, 7+ years. Amazing time. All right, xWater, we're not too far from each other, but you are second. So
mine's pretty quick. Honestly, I just really loved video games for my whole life. I got a full-time job programming, and I started getting bored at my job, and I could only listen to Carly Rae Jepsen's album Emotion on repeat so many times before I needed to listen to something different. So I booted up Rebel FM gaming podcast, just searched it, found it, and it was just like the observation hit me like 4 days later. Like, man, all 4 of these dudes on this podcast work in video games somehow. I want to do that. And I just, kind of paired that with my wacky personality. And I'm like, I'm going to go play, I'm going to be a Twitch guy. And here I am. That's it.
So, my story has been told a few times, but it all started with Mario Maker and Panga. Panga created P-Break. It was dubbed the hardest level ever at that point. Kotaku articles, everyone was going after it. Grand Pooh Bear, Mitch Flower Power, and a number of others were competing against it on Twitch. I was oblivious to Twitch. I had a Twitch account, but I didn't even think to check Twitch for Mario Maker at the time. And I had a couple of friends that I knew that were like, hey, you play Mario. You're good at Mario. You could probably beat this level. And so I spent like 12 hours each day playing it because I worked from home, and I'm like, whatever. They're not going to know. They know now. But I played and I beat P-Break, and I tweeted to Pang. I'm like, hey, good level. That was fun. And he replied back to like, hey, come to my Twitch channel. And I did. And people were like, you should stream. And so that's kind of how I got started. I looked at what people were doing, and that's when I actually created Warp World as well. So like, it's kind of interesting to see how I got started from that. But it was definitely an adventure because I never found a community that I felt that I belonged to on Twitch until Mario Maker. So,
yeah, I feel like I really like your come up story on Twitch. It just like it really like fills out everything that is happening right now. Like it really plays together with it.
It does. And I guess like I go deep into stuff when I'm obsessed, and like Twitch has kept my attention as well. Like I jump from project to project very quickly, but like Twitch has been something that is still a site that I pretty much go to every single day. So it's pretty crazy, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been an experience, and we started this episode with like how far we've came, and to have that question be the question to end this episode was just perfect.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it. Let's close that book. Episode 169 plus 5.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Author Blues.
Hey, it was an honor. It's always a pleasure to hang out with y'all.
Yeah.
Talk shop with y'all about video games and Twitch. Ton of fun.
Yeah, it was really good to have you on and geek out about Hades.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Who's on next? Which game are you gonna geek out about next time?
I don't know. I gotta find someone who shares the same passion. Definitely not rated R. Fucking Breath of the Wild hating ass. Fucking that game's so good. Piece of shit.
Yeah,
I got no idea yet.
Have rated R as a guest just so you can yell at them.
Pretty much, yeah. We'll do that. I'm surprised. We've been getting emails from I think Conjugo the last couple of weeks, and they've been asking for a new username, and we didn't get one this week. So I feel like we owe it before we end to give Conjugo yet another new username.
Yeah,
just in case they're listening.
Because if there's a person that can just come up with a name for this person, it's Off.
Okay, so we just need a new Twitch name for them because they don't like the one they have. So that's it. What do you got?
Space Straw was taken when they tried it.
Yeah, Space Straw, and I forget what we gave them last week.
Yeah,
it was stupid though.
Blaming of the Shrew, I guess.
Blaming of the Shrew.
I like it.
Yeah, and we got one from chat too. Super Ultra Guru Taco Kami. Which
that one's not taken.
Oh yeah, we called it at the beep.
At the beep.
That
was the name was last week's.
So maybe you got that.
Maybe you got that. We haven't seen it at the beep in the chat yet, but that's the more I hear it, the more I like that name. Honestly, I might just scoop that.
If it's not
if people
already.
Want to send their questions in? How can they do that?
Oh man,
get
pigeons.
3 parchments and 2 vials of ink. Then go to your computer and type in podcast at warp.world to your email bar.
You should probably skip the first step too.
Email bar.
I really regret asking this question.
No, like thank you for bringing it up. Like that was very nice. But yeah, podcast at warp.world. Send in your questions.
Yes.
That felt like asking Jaku any question. That's how that felt. Was it's very similar to the experience I've had asking Jaku anything. So
I'll get there in the end.
Yeah. Well, that's it. There it is. That's the show in the books. Justice for Grand Pooh Bear. # Justice for GPP.
Thanks for listening to the Warping World podcast.
Goodbye.
Bye.